It's a Saturday, and you know what that means. Another day of League of Legends Game Changer Rising, and we are excited. We are here for you guys, and we are ready for this beautiful day. My name is Shokito. I'll be your host for the day, and we have a beautiful desk, as always, on this channel, I'll be honest. First of all, Nettie, so nice to have you back on the desk with me. I appreciate you coming back.
Yeah,
And
it's
I
so
hope
good.
you're ready.
I'm so excited for today. Like, we have some really fun games and some really interesting games, right? We've got like Solary versus SK, and then we go into Galleons versus Blue Otters. Like, these are some teams that have shown so much during EEC, and now we get to see them battle it out again in Game Changers. So exciting!
Amazing bubbles on the other side also of this endless desk. Also happy to have you here, of course. That smile is beautiful. Tell us, how do you feel?
Yeah, I'm so excited. I'm ready to lock in. We're so excited. There's so many good games coming up, as Natty already mentioned, and I'm really interested to see whether these teams can now come out of Equal Esports Cup and say, no, either we have a different statement we want to make, or we want to solidify how good we were. So really excited for the stakes of every single game.
And every single game counts, but we already had some games, to be honest. We can look at the standings right now because we already watched 4 matches. And we can see, obviously, it's in Group A and Group B in the moment. G2 Hell and Blue Otter were able to secure their first wins, as well as Eterna and SK Avarosa. So we already have seen some plays. We already have seen some picks, some players, of course. But let's remember, this was just one match for every team. That's what I'm saying, but I'll be the one with the crazy predictions, I feel like. Still, there's so much more to come. But before we talk about the games that are coming up today, I want to talk about the games we already saw so that we can have some predictions, see what we can maybe see of plays of champions for today. So, the first game in this whole tournament was G2 Hell versus Seren's Bloom, and we have some replays for you guys. But also, Bubbles, I want to hear about you. G2 Hell, they won, kind of expected, right?
Yeah, I mean, they come in as the champions of the Equal Esports Cup. They come in as the most dominant looking team. I think they're definitely the favorite right there. And as we just see, that quadra kill coming in right there. Yeah, as you mentioned, it is definitely expected for them to win, but especially to win in a very dominant way, and just they're the team that has the most experience playing together as a team, playing in different leagues as well. So I think overall it would not be crazy to say that they are the favorites to win it all.
Totally understandable. And they did show us what they can do in EC already, but now to see it in this match was also kind of interesting to see, to know again what G2 is capable of, obviously. The next game on that day was Eterna versus Solary Academy. And I feel like with Eterna, everybody was kind of interested to see how they are able to do, because we just really didn't know what to expect. But how did you feel about this game, Nettie?
Yeah, so I think that, Hyper Bubbles just talked about how we expected G2 to come in and do so well, and then we came into this game, Solary, the second place team of EEC, who took a game off G2, who didn't really match those expectations, right? Like, we came in, Eterna's relatively new team, they qualified 4 game changers through that open qualifier process, and they dropped a game versus Zerant. And now we see them coming in and just taking a game off of potentially what many people may see as the second favorite for this tournament. So it really just goes to show how fantastic Eternals have done with, perhaps such little time, but also maybe that Solary potentially dropped the ball here, right? I think that we spoke about it a little bit before coming on today, that this was a very messy game from them. They seemed quite disconnected, and we did see during the playoffs of the Equal Esports Cup that this team can have a tendency to maybe go a little bit crazy and sometimes drop some games, but they don't usually, or they shouldn't. So it'll be really interesting to see how they bounce back today and if they can get back into that rhythm that we saw them achieve in EEC and how well that they did play during those games.
Definitely, and let's remember those words because we are going to watch Solary in a couple of minutes. But also, the next match we were able to see was former Nexus Reapers, now called Blue Otters, versus Galleon's Pearl. You can now see it on the screen, some of their plays. And Blue Otters were able to take this win also because of Tifa pulling off a 7-0 on that Seraph. Hyper Bubbles, impressive, right?
Yeah, so when I saw this and I just saw Zera locked in against on the enemy team a Renekton, a Wukong, and a Rakan, I was just like, oh my god, how is Xerath ever gonna play? Like, Xerath cannot ever just stand still and free cast those abilities. But you know what? Tifa proved me completely wrong. Her spacing was so good, and she always knew just how far out of range she had to stay to not be in danger, and she went deathless that entire game. So I was really, really impressed by that performance. She was able to consistently put out that damage without actually putting herself in danger. So overall, wonderful performance. I really hope to see that being repeated again because, yeah, Xerath is such a non-conventional pick, and if we see just basically like an experience and hand stiff showing such a good performance, I hope we can see other players do the same.
I would love to, I'll be honest. I enjoyed that Seraph performance so much. So I'll be happy to. The last game we were able to see in this tournament was Vitality Rising Bees versus SK Avarosa. SK Avarosa also the team we are going to watch in a couple of minutes. But let's talk about the game we saw a little bit further, Nettie. I feel like SK winning here was kind of like a changing point, right?
Yeah, I mean, again, going back to the EC, SK didn't end up making out of groups. This was kind of below a lot of people's expectations for this team. Coming into it, they were seen as the second favorite. So to see them come in here with their new jungle signing, which is Trez, and be able to take a win versus Vitality Rising Bees, who finished third in the EC, really just goes to show that this team, you know, perhaps has seen at some improvements and are more playing to the expected level. But I also think that the addition of the jungler Trez has really added to this team and sort of band-aided some of the weaknesses that we saw them have in the EC. Like, she made so much space in this game for Miela and Apollonia to just be able to, you know, poke, and just tried to make the game as easy for them as possible. So I think that'll be something we really take a look at today. Keep our eyes on.
Amazing, and we will. And if you haven't already noticed, the first match we are going to watch today is Solary Academy versus SK Avarosa. So maybe let's keep going with SK first. Now, you already mentioned Trez a little bit, Nettie, and I think everything you said was correct, and it's super exciting to see her. And actually, when they won, they did a little winning interview on this broadcast with a Siggy, and Miela mentioned that Trez is like a really nice addition. And it's like not the exact quote, but she basically said that Trez is the one that flames them for going too deep, which helps the team apparently. So let's see how this is going today as well. And I'm really excited to especially see Miela in this bot lane matchup against Clef. So, Bubbles, this is a German bot lane matchup we are going to see. And as a fellow German, do you have an opinion on that?
Yeah, so I'm really excited about these two because both of them have such carry potential where they can just both go. I mean, look at these numbers. We have, like, the damage we're seeing here is just, it's so crazy. And what I personally want to keep my eye on is the kill participation percentage. Both of them have 85 and 86% kill participation. So that means that the game is just fully played around them. And the teams are aware that this is where they can go through. And I mean, seeing Miela's KDA popping up here, that is definitely a crazy one. Of course, we can see it from the last game that we just had here, the 11, 1, and 13 Varus. that was such a beautiful performance that we also saw. And in general, I really think that what is the current like ADC meta is going to be these hard scaling and sitting back and being able to also poke from a bit of range before going in champions like the Varus and like the Sivir. So both of them already showing that they're able to play these champions that we also saw them play in EEC is exactly what I want to be looking at. On the side of Clef, I am really excited to see if she can have some of these other carry performances that we saw a while ago, such like on the Zeri or on the Smolder. Versus on the side of Miela, of course, we didn't get to see as much because unfortunately SK did not make it out of those groups. So I'm still very open to see what other champions they can show if it isn't just going to be the Varus and Sivir show.
Now, these stats were collected from the EEC and the game challenges games we were able to see so far. So not that many data maybe, but we will be able to collect even more after this, obviously. Now, Natty, how do you feel about the spot lane and especially the picks we already mentioned a little bit?
Yeah, so I mean, I think the really interesting thing about this matchup specifically is that we have arguably what many people would consider the second and third best players of the, best in this tournament for the ADC position, right? And I think the interesting thing about it is that they have very conflicting styles. Miela and Kiana tend to go for much more of this lane dominant style, but I think that they do tend to play a bit further back and not really positioned super aggressively in the mid to late game, whereas Clef is kind of the opposite, right? She tends to take a bit more of a backseat, play a bit more passive during that lane phase, but then when it gets to mid to late game, I think her positioning is something really interesting, and we can see this more in Eastern AD carries, where she'll position much more aggressively to try and make space for her team and then try and, give these really good team fights. So you can kind of see that through the KDAs, right? You have Miela with this super high KDA on the Varus, pinging arrows from really far away. And then we have Clef, who's much more of this, okay, I'm going to be up in your face, and if you go on me, I'm going to, flash out, bait you into my team, and then we're going to try and get some kills that way and win the team fight. So really interesting thing to pay attention to and looking into that.
Now, we talked about some individuals already, but I want to talk about SK and Solary a little bit more broad at this point, because SK Avarosa winning this match was super important. And now the question arises, is SK Avarosa back? Are they back in that 2023 stage? Are they back to winning it at all? And Solary also, are they underrated? Because they actually got really far in EEC. Bubbles, do you feel like any of these are valid points that I just mentioned?
I think both are definitely valid. I'm going to focus a little bit on SK here, because going into EEC, from what I heard, most people had a lot higher expectations on what SK Avarosa could be doing. So then they were very disappointed to see that they didn't even make it out of groups. And that was overall a very big sort of tournament upset. So now that we see that SK Avarosa won already, the question is, are they now sort of resurging? Are they going back to the form that was previously expected to them? Was EEC just a sort of a fluke, and are they back now? Or is it the other way around and, they lost whatever made them so strong before, and in EEC they had to relearn everything, and this one is a fluke? I'm, of course, personally really hoping that they took the time ever since EEC, since they had that extra time and didn't have to play through playoffs. They took that time and they said, no, we know what our weaknesses are, we can work on them. They took that extra work, they took that time, and they came out now a much stronger team, and the first game proved it. Now, if they were able to take down Solary after losing against them 2-0 in EEC, I think this would be such a great sign for them.
So a lot of stakes coming up into this game. We are obviously really excited, and I have to mention this interview of Miela again that AC did after the win, because she mentioned that you can expect a lot of us, is what she said. And I'll be honest, I do expect a lot of her and off SK after watching this game, and it felt so nice to watch. But on the other hand, I feel like Solary, so much potential. There could be so much going on in this game. Now, Nettie, I want to hear from you. Do you feel like this game is going to be more one-sided than might some of us expect, or is it going to be a banger?
I think it's going to be a banger. I'm hoping it's going to be a banger, and I think that, yeah, these two teams, they look pretty close, like, in terms of what their potential can be. I mean, we have the, 2-0 from Solary in the EEC, but then we also have SK looking really good last week. So I think it's going to be a really close one, and I think the most important thing is how important it is for Solary to win this game. We have such a short group phase where there's only 3 games to be able to qualify. So losing the first game for Solary, they're already in a position where they've played a third of their group stage games, right? And if they want to be able to qualify, they're going to have to probably wake up here to try and get themselves a good place for those playoffs.
Which is really interesting in my opinion, because Eterna, a team we haven't seen much of, obviously, but also they were able to show what they are capable of, and now the other teams are like kind of impressed by them. That's at least how I feel. Now SK Avarosa obviously trying to perform today as much as possible, and I think with this top lane matchup, this could also be interesting because we are going to see Pivotless against Lysia. Now Lysia, she had a little bit of a rough time, and I feel like she could show us in this tournament again what she is capable of and impress us really. And top lane in like EC also kind of felt more important than in most regular league matches, if I may say so myself. Bubbles, do you feel like this top lane matchup is going to be something we will look to a little bit more further, or is most of it going to happen on that German bot lane?
I think, of course, the carries of the game are going to be that German bot lane, but looking at the champ pools, I do think there can be some very interesting things happening here, because in the past, from the side of SK Avarosa, we've seen them focus very much so on the more tanky top laners, the more utility providers, whereas on the side of Solary, we have some more bruiser and fighter champions. And for example, if we see something like an Ornn on the side of SKA, then that can very easily be matched by something like the Gwen that has been picked before on the side of Solary. So I think having that counter pick, or just in general any form of matchup advantage for the side of Solary, can be one of those avenues where they can snowball the entire game and then get the ADCs to that strong point. So I think it is not going to be the main focus, but if they ignore it, it will be their downfall.
That's probably right, because I feel like this is going to be a lot of a bot lane style comparison, maybe also in this matchup, but it's going to be interesting to also see like specific picks they are choosing. Now on this graphic we saw, we also talked about like the last game, obviously, but Nettie, is there something specific you want to see on the bot lane?
I think that on SK's side, Miela has really improved a lot on her like Varus gameplay. There's long range stuff, sort of like those champions that tend to prefer this front to back style. And then for Clef, she has performed quite well on that stuff, such as the Smolder, but I think she also has a good proficiency on this stuff like the Misfortune and the Zeri. So I think they're really looking at these sorts of champions where she can, make that space for her team, perhaps, would be something that I would really like to see personally.
I would really like to see a smaller as well. I'm going to be honest, that would be exciting. Now, unfortunately, we do have some problems with the draft currently. I don't know exactly what the issue is, but we will find out. But for now, we have to go to a quick break. We will be back as soon as we know what's going on, and of course, with the draft then. So, stay tuned. We are back from a short little break. Sorry about that. There came up some draft issues, but it looks like it's going to be solved and we will be able to jump into the draft in a couple of minutes. So, talking about draft. Now, we mentioned already a little bit, talking about bot lane, what they could pick, about top lane and stuff, but I want to hear from you, Bubbles, now. What do you think, like, the whole team comp of either of the teams could look like, and maybe just like tell us a little bit what you're expecting.
Yeah, so I think most teams are going to sort of go into the general direction of either sort of tank or bruiser in the top lane, and then have some sort of skirmishing jungler that can fight, but also importantly provide some sort of CC, and then just a mage in the mid lane, and then a hard scaling. Oh, there we go!
You don't have to predict anymore regarding the draft. Or was that your prediction? Let's just act like it was your prediction. Oh my god, you're so right.
Oh my god, yeah, that is exactly what I was gonna predict, actually.
Get this girl to LEC. She predicted the whole draft of both teams correct. So I love it. Let's see if we can get that back up. But I don't know if you were able to spot some of the champions already. Or are we jumping into the game? Maybe. Let's see.
I think I see a Maokai. I think I see a Maokai skin.
We do see some action, at least. So a Maokai. Okay, great. But as you guys already saw, we are jumping into the game already. So draft is going to be with our beautiful casters, our own Medi-Vedi version of Game Changers, Mide and Trixalis.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. That was
Oh my
a little
God.
bit of a surprise. Hey, Annika and I, we're back. You may recognize us from the EUesports Cup. It's a great time for us to be here and to be able to cast these teams again. And since the draft was a little wonky and we don't quite know what to expect, what do you expect, Annika?
The thing is, we haven't really seen the draft yet because it was like only a short intermission that just blinked up. So I'm hoping we're definitely seeing from SK as yesterday or as last week a very bot lane centric draft, because I really like the new way that they were able to facilitate Miela as their AD carry player together with the new jungler Tress. And for Solary's case, I'm kind of hoping that they're able to challenge SK at the same way that they did in the EEC, where we had two really quick stomps in the group phase against them, mostly on the back of their jungler Thorn.
Yeah, 100%. And I think it's very interesting to look at. Of course, Solary struggling a little bit coming into the tournament last week, and that was, to me at least, it was a little bit surprising.
Yes.
Just because I felt like even in the finals, even though they lost, they looked very convincing. The game that they actually managed to win, they managed to turn it around. That was so nice and so cool, and I kind of felt like, ooh, this is some great momentum for them to take into Game Changers. So far, it hasn't quite worked. And then on the other hand, we have SK, who've been in the struggle bus all year long.
Yes.
I don't think we don't need to talk about that so much more, because I think everyone is sick of it. But everyone is sick of it at this point, because you know, it was a roughie. They of course made some changes because I was able to talk to Miela a few days ago, and she was like, look, we were missing guidance. We were missing a shot caller in game, and she did feel like Empress did a good job at bringing everyone together, but changes had to be made. I think that was clear to everyone, especially after how Esports Cup went. And now they bring in a new person, they bring in some new flavor, and all of a sudden it looked very convincing from them last week.
It definitely did. And I think it's also very good for this team to have this a little tapestry change, to bring in Tress, who is also a very experienced jungler. She has been very successful in the past too. And I think that especially her champion pool really well resonates with the current meta that we have. We have a lot of bruisers. We also have a lot of Shinzao's Wukongs happening, but also a lot of the tanks that she really excels on. So I think it's a good and also big advantage for them to bring in a jungler that is able to play more around bot lane, because as we also heard from the desk, Miela had a really outstanding performance in the first game that they played against Vitality Rising Beast, with of course Miela having 100% kill participation, and that is also always sponsored by your jungler. So happy ADC, happy jungle, happy game win.
Yeah, 100%. I also feel like the synergy, especially with Kiana, has been working very well. And Kiana, for me, was one of the standout players last year in Esports Cup. And when they first got her onto the team to SK, I was like, oh my god, this bot lane is going to be crazy because both of them just want to fist fight the entire time. So it's definitely going to be interesting. Let's see if we can. We just get some hints at the draft.
But I feel the same for Kiana because I had a great chance to like be there when they were like in the boot camp at the beginning of this year, and it was like so interesting to see like also their development that they had, because in the beginning I had the feeling they were a bit chaotic together, because Kiana whenever she has the chance to go in, she goes in. Like there's no apologies. Like she's already in. There's like no question. She's already in. And I think they had to figure out some ways to communicate properly with each other and get like on the same wavelength. But I think over the year they definitely have improved that. So I'm really happy to see them hopefully improving this time and making it further into the game changers.
I'm really excited as we're now, of course, going into our first game of the day. Solary Academy facing off against SK Gaming Avarosa. And I gotta be honest, I may feel like Solary in my head are still at least a little bit the better team, or maybe the more consistent team.
Okay, also the draft. I mean, we're looking at the draft now for the first time, at least from my side.
We are both seeing the Morgana mid, right? I'm not hallucinating.
We're both seeing the Morgana mid lane.
Good, no, just asking.
There's also a Vayne on the bot lane, which is also maybe a bit surprising, but we know that like Clef loves to play like champions that are able to challenge and are able to get the game running. I mean, we see these both drafts and I'm thinking like, okay, good, this might be a long one, because we have again, of course, Lilith, one of her favorite champions. We have the Way. It was most often banned in EC against her. Yeah. And also for Thorn, the Trundle that works really well into picks like the Maokai has been like a staple of like counterpicking for junglers during the last patches, really. So he has been there for like a long time now. And I also really love to see like kind of like the mirror from what we have seen most time during EEC, that we have pivotless on like more like champion that is able to carry top lane and force the 1v1s in comparison to Lysia taking the Cyan. Oh god, I'm so overwhelmed. There's so much stuff that I want to talk about.
There's a lot going on. We were, of course, also last week talking a little bit of about how Nice Guy Ben came in as a little bit of an assistant coach and maybe even a positional coach for Lysia, because I feel like they have a very similar playstyle in the sense of being more side lane focused and more of the weak side gods in this scenario. So I'm still very interested to see if we're going to recognize some of the Nice Guy Ben playstyle.
You mean as soon as she starts proxying, because I don't know if like, everybody knows the flavor, but Nice Guy Ben has been the top laner for my Prime League team this year too. So I definitely know my top lane coach up there. So I will see how Lysia will be able to work with the pressure, because that's something that he's always like teaching new players, and he's also been teaching at the EPF boot camps. Like sometimes it's just important to take like the attention, to just be obnoxious. And I think that's something that made Lysia like really strong in the past too. That she has always her agency, that she always is able to get like something out of her plays, even if it's just a tower, even if it's just pushing the waves and bringing people to give up their advantage. And that's something that the Cyan is also really good at doing. And I also love that we have the Morgana in the mid lane, because it's like protect the president. And the president in this case is Miela. She has
100%.
2 black shields. She has all the peels and 3 bodyguards. Like, that woman can't be killed.
Yeah, I mean, that has to be the goal for sure. Even though I gotta say, we've also highlighted it on the analyst desk a little bit, it is a little bit of a question who's the better carry bot laner here, right? Because we have 2 AD carries who really enjoy hard carrying, as we can see already, dropping relatively low here with Miela and Kiana stepping very far forward. Yes, Thorn is in the area, but she doesn't really want to move in further. So the question stands for me, who wears the carry pants better? Is it going to be Clef, because we all know that late game Clef effect, as we like to call it? Or is it going to be Miela, who also has the opportunity to take over entire games if her team manages to play into her very well? So that is definitely also for me kind of the lane to watch, because so far Miela, of course, getting ahead relatively easily. They do have a nice threat going into the lane with Kiana on the Nautilus as well. So it is going to be up to Solary to find a way to get Clef into the game as well.
In my position would be Clef. I would be like shedding a tear probably, because I'm seeing, okay, good, enemy has like a lot of black shields as protection for her carry. Meanwhile, she has to like also lane in the not that comfortable lane where she constantly gets like pushed in because of like the range deficit. And there's like so much CC. There's so much CC to punish this Vayne in the later team fights, where you can just put on the Mark from the Nautilus. You can just have the Maokai jump in as soon as this Vayne shows. And yeah, of course, Liv, she has like a nicer time team fighting because she can just stay out of range, poke a bit, try to challenge the Sivir. Meanwhile, the Vayne has like to be very careful where to position, when to tumble in or tumble out, because there's just like so much CC happening. On the other side, if she's really able, or if like Solary is able to just keep SK's bot lane kind of as isolated and not give like the Sivir a big lead and don't get her to scale, they will be lacking massive damage, because this Morgana, of course, she's fine. She can force her trades in the mid lane. She should always be able to match the prio. Just because she has the minion wave, you put the pool under it, and then you're fine. But at one certain point, I think the Morgana might be like lacking a bit of the, oh my god, damage.
Yeah. Clef is taking a lot of damage indeed, but Kiana has to be careful as well, so it was a bit of a trade-off here, no one in danger. But Thorn is now moving in as well, but we can see both Trez and Apollonia in the area. So Solary are looking to contest the Drake. Kiana dropped extremely low. She finds another hook. Alcy drops down. That's the first kill going over to Trez. But now Lilith has moved in as well, and she can, of course, play around her range very, very well. However, she had to use her flash, and now with the pillar, they are trying to zone a little bit. Public execution coming through now with the TP of Pivotless, but we can see Lizzie joining the fight as well. Yes, Kiana and Tress are both dropping extremely low, but Pivotless is now caught behind enemy lines. She's going down. Apollonia with the kill, and now Alcy on her way back onto the map. It looks really, really good for SK. Here they pick up the Feat of Warfare as well as the first dragon. I think they're very happy with that, getting kills all across their top side of the map, if you want to say it that way. Wow.
That was not the fight for Solary to take in this scenario, but also very good executed from SK, working with the TP, making sure that they have like the advantage at this objective and getting these 3 kills. I mean, if you would have wanted like the perfect scenario, you might have wanted one of these kills going into the hands of Miela, but overall really great outcome for SK. And also Kiana getting directly into top side, swapping with her bot laner, making sure that you get the prio on top side, maybe able to playing for the Void Grubs coming next up. So they weren't just able to get like the fight plus the dragon that is currently getting done by Tress, but also directly shifting again, getting into top side. So they're putting up quite like pressure on Solary. They're just like, okay, good, we thought we could fight this, but they didn't get one kill out of the end. They wasted a lot of summoner spells and a lot of time, and also are now in some like lane matchups that aren't like as favorable for them.
Yeah, 100%. I just wanted to say, we can see the classic lane swap coming through here for the side of SK, which always means they want to prep for Void Grubs. They want to put themselves in a good position to pick up that top side objective as well. However, Solary are not necessarily matching it in the same exact way. We have both of the bot lanes moving a little further up, but Alcy and Clef there in mid lane. So they definitely still have some sort of a numbers advantage if they want to go, or like they are even in numbers if they want to go towards the grubbies. But it's a little atypical because the matchups are not easy for Pivotless. But on the other hand, I don't think Apollonia is happy either. So
yeah, she's Morgana. She can just put like down the little like pond into the minion wave. She has also the Lost Chapter already after the kills. So I think she is really fine, just trying not to get hit by this Vayne, and she outranges her. So also SK rotating after pushing topside into the mid lane, making sure that Solary gets nothing over there in advantage. And also Lizzie are rotating from bot lane into it. So I think it looks like both sides are perfectly ready and perfectly willing to contest again.
Is this a 5v5 situation at Void Grubs? Damn, that is crazy. But so far, SK are in a little bit of a better position. We can see Pivotless still on that top lane, now moving in, and they're kind of looking to maybe trap them in the river just a little bit. Pivotless does have the ultimate available, but we can see Trez already using the Nature's Grouse. There's some decent damage coming out, but now Pivotless is in the area as well. They are picking up kills for both sides here, but everyone's dropping extremely low. Lysia has to move away as well as Miela, who has to try and kite everything. Apollonia now stepped a little too far forward, but manages to stay alive as Clef drops extremely low. Clef ends up going down, and that is another kill in the bags here. For SK. Avarosa, public execution from Pivotless doesn't quite hit Miela, who stepped a bit far forward there for my personal liking.
Yeah, she was like trampling into the binding from the Morgana, like, yes, take me. And in the end, Apo again with the peel, the ricochets were flying. There was like no way to escape anymore for Clef. She was too close to her mid laner. In that case, and the next kills, now we have like again the scenario where Solary forced a fight. It's similar to like the dragon situation, they could have just backed off, but they really wanted to have the fight. They really wanted to know it. And in the end, they unfortunately suffer the same fate as before. SK gets the kills, they get the objectives, and yeah, and now you have like these leads. And what did we say in the beginning? The draft from SK is like very centered around the fact if like the Severe can get in the game and like how far the gold lead kind of goes, because in the later stages, Solary would be able with the scaling to kind of contest the position of SK. But now that you have like this lead and like the Severe and both the Morgana are feeling so comfortable in game, I'm not sure if that's like easily recoverable anymore.
Yeah, I'm also just looking at my notes that I have for Solary from, everything we've seen them do so far. And I always felt like they are very convincing when they get ahead. They play very well around team fights. They play very well around objectives with a high aggression, but really only once they got ahead. And so far, yes, the gold may be relatively even. It's only a 2k gold lead about for SK Avarosa, but this is definitely not Solary's comfort zone.
No.
So I'm kind of like, we kind of have to think about the clef factor. We have to think about that they also enjoy scaling. They also
the clef
enjoy,
effect.
You just have to wait for her to actually come online, and then things will be playable. That's usually how it ends up working out for them. But this is definitely not the ideal situation for them to be in, because I do feel like especially Vayne is very wonky if you don't put her in a good position from start to finish.
Definitely. And now we already see that SK, they don't stop. They want to contest like every objective that there is. And Solary is again in the area, but getting spotted by the Maokai saplings. So again, the whole area is getting controlled. They even investing a teleport, but now also the answer comes out from SK.
Yeah, someone's getting caught here behind enemy lines. However, Tress has to flash out as well. It was pivotless. She's now using the public execution into the backline. Miela's dropping here extremely low. Oh, that was a beautiful combination coming through from the side of Solary Academy, as they are now looking to take over the fight and move towards the next dragon. Yes, you have Lysia with the passive still trying to do some damage, but it's not going to work out in SK's favor right now. And that is Solary actually not only evening out the gold, but actually getting their own lead for the time being. Beautiful fight.
That was such a beautiful spiraling despair from Lilith. Like, she had everybody in the choke point and everybody fell into despair. Yeah, it was like, oh my god. And it looked like so good from SK. Like, Lysia was getting into position. She was able to flank into the fight and might turn the odds. But because of this great ultimate from Lilith, she decided, I'm not gonna lose this fight. Now also has like 3 kills on her own scoreboard and taken away a lot of like the advantage that SK had on this Morgana and also on the Severe. And they also were able to take the dragon. So just to be able to delay further dragon stacking is something definitely worth for Solary. And Lilith. I mean, we've been talking about her too a lot. Like in the finals, I had her in interviews and she was like, yeah, I always have like this playoffs buffs coming in, and she felt like really comfortable also going into the series against G2. And I also think that she had like a really good showing against Rim in the finals. And then waking up again after like this first loss against Eterna definitely gives me hope that like Solary is also here to contest again, similar into ESC, where they have been most likely the dark horse.
Yeah. Let's look at this again, as we can see the TP from Pivotless coming through relatively early on, and then she gets caught, which so far looks really good for SK.
Yeah, also Miela has in the beginning a bit of a struggle to make it into the team fight because she's just getting zoned. She also has to use her spell sheet really early, then she gets a black shield after the public execution, and now Lysia unfortunately bonks against the wall. Beautiful. The spiraling despair comes in and just gets like 3 people because of the pillar. Also, nobody's able to escape, so Thorn made sure that they're in the perfect position for Lilith to do her damage.
Yeah, that was really just overall a very nice layering of the abilities that they bring to the table here for the side of Solary Academy. We've been raving about Lilith on Way for probably the entirety of the year already.
And that's why you normally ban it against her.
Yeah, 100%. But I also like that SK are, I don't want to say brave enough, but that they are convinced they have enough answers to actually leave it open, because whenever you have to ban a ton of pocket picks, that always puts you in a very weird position for your own draft, right? For your own game plan. So leaving it open, I think it's very brave, and I think in the early game it worked out very well. But now that we're more moving towards mid game, I think Lilith has to be one of the key factors that you need to take out of the fights for SK.
Yeah, I mean, like in the beginning, I really loved like the answer of the Morgana because you have like all this wave clear, and with the Morgana, you also have like all the CC, you have like all the crowd control to be able to help her later on. Also, it's really easy for like a Morgana to start the fight. Most likely, you go first or like very early into like a Zonya's or like at least a Seeker's Arm Guard to be able to make some very aggressive plays. But now that like the laning phase it's going to an end, and like both of these mid laners are sitting on their first burn items, probably gonna come in legendaries later too. I think it's like really hard for the Morgana to like outvalue the range and also the damage that the Wei brings to the table. And we see again there's objective spawning, and these both teams they love their objectives. So we're gonna see a fight again, of course.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we talked about it for Solary. Once they get a little bit of a lead, they love to play around objectives. They're very teamfight focused, and SK, of course, know about that, having played them or having seen them play as well in Equal Esports Cup. So SK first to the river, trying to find a good position here, with Clef still being on top side, trying to farm the wave at least a little bit. They're looking for an angle. For me, it's Pivotless again, looking for Miela with that public execution, because that was kind of the fight starter for the last one, where she just went straight into the back. As Kiana steps forward, now the Nature's Grasp coming through again as well, but that was a beautiful Magnet Storm. Here comes the Spiraling Despair, and they are doing a lot of damage once more. Here comes the public execution into the backline. Tress dropping extremely low. Miela trying to kite away from Fawn here, but she is just an AD carry, and she's going to get bonked to death. And it is an absolute disaster for SK. Avarosa, who have to run for the hills with Clefs, now getting immobilized, at least for a second, which means Apollonia makes it out alive, but at what cost? Because that's 4 more kills going over to Solary, and they will be able to pick up the Herald for themselves as well. And Apollonia has to watch as her turret is taking a little bit of damage. It's not going to be enough for Solary to actually pick up the entire thing, but I think they are still very happy with the outcome of this.
Definitely. But like here, first the engage. In the beginning, it was like Kiana thinking, okay, good, I can get Lilith on the hook. But she just flashes out again. Also, Vayne using all the summoner spells, making sure that she doesn't get targeted. And after the first kills fall upon the front line of SK, it's just Clef chasing Apollonia and also getting the kill onto Miela. And maybe the engage was a bit overeager on the side of SK because they weren't able to get Lilith. They had like so many defensives like still up. She could just flash out, and then like their own tanks on side of Solary could go for the engage. And now we have the scenario. Okay, good. You gave the Herald away. You also lost the fight. But SK, they have a plan. They came in here today and they were like, if there's objective, we gotta contest it. So maybe this time they're actually able to get it because we see that Lilith goes on top lane. There's a tower that you can get. It's still like would be a third tower for Solary in this game. The gold lead is also rising for them, 4k gold, and one Clown Dragon. He has not that big of a worth, especially not if you lose T1 mid lane.
Yeah, getting that tier 1 mid lane with the help of the Herald as well. Very much worth it for Solary. So yes, SK managed to pick up the objective, but the question has to be at what cost, because they are losing 2 turrets here. One on top lane, one in mid lane, and mid lane tier 1, of course, one of the most important turrets when it comes to opening up the map, which gives you a lot of mobility to contests and, secure other objectives. And also it opens up the way into enemy jungle for Thorn here. It pushes SK further and further back into their own base. So they have to find an answer. They have to find a cross-map play at some point, because that is also something that I think is true for both Pivotless and Lysia. They are both doing a decent job in side lanes, because Pivotless, historically for me, whenever she had a wonky game where she didn't find the way in, on her own terms, she was always a menace in side lanes. And this game, she's doing both. She's multitasking between coming into the team fights, being that factor with the public execution, going straight into the backline, and then at the same time always moving towards the side lanes, trying to push it out a little further together with Lilith, of course, who's doing a decent job at that herself. So very interesting, and something that SK definitely needs to find answers to. So
yeah, it's really hard for them though to find like the answers at the current moment. We also see that Lysia is getting probably like they're trying to dive. Is Cyan is ambitious though.
Yeah, let's see if she can buy some more time. Pivotless dropping a little bit lower here with now Miela, Kiana as well moving in, and the TP coming through for Apollonia as well. They're actually looking for a team fight. The the Nature's Grasp did a decent job. Damn, I forgot all of my English words there for a second. I'm really sorry. As Aussie got caught in the Drake pit, the interruption hits indeed as Clef goes down as well. And I think this is it's good for SK to get these kills because it gives them a little bit of pressure back on the map. However, there's no objective, so there's nothing that they can directly profit off with this fight.
I'm also like thinking that Solary had like a little oopsie moment in that case that they thought, okay, good, we're gonna dive the Cyan, then realize, wait, the Cyan, you can't, oh my god, pivotless. She's getting Morgana'd, but in the end even has to flash out just to get away from her ultimate, to not get rooted again. It was a close one, and also no flash for the Ambessa now in the next team fight. That probably will be up soon if we see that the Dragon will be back in 130. But I think this fight was like a really nice way for Miela to get like some gold back again. She got like 2 shutdowns, also the replay of the situation. I think Solary thought that they could just easily tower dive the Cyan, but the waves just get annihilated. Tress was also there, and also SK invested a teleport in order to help out her top laner. And then they had like the Maokai route hitting 2 people, making sure also that Tress flashed in, getting the knockback onto Clef, and then you have enough CC in the back of your hands with the Nautilus ultimate to secure the kill, also onto Clef, who also gives her shutdown into the hands of Miela. And she was away. She was like half an item behind Clef after like the last situation. And suddenly she's up on par again. Suddenly she has Infinity Edge and is able to bring much more damage to the table with the Severe for the next fight coming.
Ooh, it's so tense. I feel like
it's so tense.
It's
like
very much a head-to-head.
The teams are trying. Like, the teams are keeping it very interesting.
Yeah, but I also think if you would have told me that this is what it's going to look like, let's say 2 months ago, I would have not believed you because SK was so far away from what Solary were accomplishing throughout Equal Esports Cup that we were rightfully criticizing them. And now we're here. They made that roster change, and it seems like they are overall just way more coordinated. It seems as if they have way better coordination, communication when it comes to setting up objectives as well. And I love to see it. I love to see SK actually being competitive again because let's remind y'all, they have been Equal Esports Cup winners, but they just weren't able to step it up to the same level again ever since.
And we all have been cheering so much for them. Like, we thought into the beginning of the year, before the EEC, that SK gonna stop everybody. That they are just marching through, going to Gamescom final, maybe being even a challenge for G2 Hell. And then the group phase came, and they didn't even make it out. But at least we have to see that, like, maybe the pressure was just too high. A lot of, like, also of these players have been, like, struggling with all the pressure that kind of has been put on them. And the moment that they were, like, not able by numbers to make it anymore out of the groups of EEC, suddenly also their play style changed. They were able to get, like, 2 wins in the end, even though not able to make it out anymore. So that definitely were kind of able to play without the pressure. And I hope that we can see, like, more of this, like, pressure-free SK in the Game Changers Rising, so we can see the full potential that this team were, like, promised at the beginning of this year. And I think we're kind of seeing it already with, like, the victory that they had with Vitality Rising Beast, a very bot lane-centric situation. And again, in this draft, also Miela with a very high kill participation. But now they're looking to fight the next dragon, the next TP coming in, and Solary wants to contest.
Yeah, we can see the TP from Lysia coming through now as well. But so far, Solary are the numbers advantage. RC has to be a little bit careful not to step too far forward, but she's kind of looking for an angle. Nature's Grasp coming through. Now they're looking to maybe find a way to smite away this dragon. They managed to get it. So they actually steal the dragon here. They managed to step even further forward. But now Pivotless is trying to find a way in as well with Lilith and Clef in the river. But is this enough? They've managed to catch OC. They managed to steal away the Drake. They are now at Soul Point and they are looking to step further forward within this mid lane. The Pillar is trying to buy some space, buy some time, but it's not going to be enough. SK will be able to pick up this turret. They pick up the Drake, and I think they are okay for now. Gold still a little leading towards Solary, but it's not that much.
What is 2K? 2K is basically nothing. That's like a little bit of money on top. And also now that we see like that these items are there, that Miela were also able to steal the dragon. And like this mosh pit combination of just protecting this Sivir, making sure that she survives, helps this team combo so much that what you are drafted for, that's why you put like a second supporter, in quotations, into the mid lane with the Morgana to be able to provide the support that is needed to keep Miela in those team fights. Now 2.5 items on her back and to her name. And they're also able finally to push some towers, get like the T1 in the mid lane, as you just said. Meanwhile, on the other side, we see like with items being catched up on 2, we now have 2 items for Clef also coming out. So more ways for like this Vayne to kite in the team fight, but we saw how hard it is for Clef if she's not able to tumble forward, if she's not able like to chase, if there's like all these bodyguards standing around the Sivir, how hard it is for the Vayne to find like positions in the team fights where can she free hit.
Yeah. Now we can see Atakan, and Atakan, for me, I've been talking to players about it on and on and on.
Don't tell me.
Atakan is the throw, okay? You're always throwing at Atakan. Show me a team that does it in a good way. It's never happening. It's never flipping happening. At least not in pro play. You know, in pro play, it's always the throw angle. So let's see if Solary can actually find a way in here. Pivotless a little late to the party, as we can see them already trying to catch out Aussie again. Apollonia with the next kill. They're stepping further forward. Spiraling Despair does not do too much damage, but Pivotless in the back line. She's trying to do the work that no one else was able to do. Miela dropping low as well, and now they're picking up the kills one after another. Miela might get a little bit caught here with the range coming through from Lilith as well, and it is again Solary actually profiting of the decision by SK to go for this Atakan.
Yeah, until we see the situation again. And it's like similar to the last team fight we've seen. Like Alcy, she's trying so hard to get like de-engaged, trying to find like an angle where she get like a good magnet storm, but she's again getting like kind of hold back by the bodyguards, getting hooked, getting instantly shut down. But then it's Pivotless going in from the side, seeing that Miela is low there. She already has her spell shield and also like the black shield from the Morgana out, so she's not able really to get that much time for public execution. And it only takes like this short moment where she was like in the public execution for Solary to turn the fight, get the burst out, and get then even like rid of Tress and of Miela too. In the end, SK still gets the objective, but Solary definitely got some nice kills and the Baron now on them. And that's definitely the objective that they need, because they have much easier time pushing the side lanes in comparison to SK that are now trying desperately to push out top lane, maybe push out the mid lane in order to be ready for like the Baron push that's now gonna come in for Solary. We also now have 3 items for Lilith, so she's an absolute beast if she hasn't been one before. And that's definitely a big problem.
God. Nature's Grasp being used here very early on. That's an important ultimate gone for SK Avarosa, as we can see Solary with the Baron buff looking to push both in mid lane and on bot lane. Mid lane tier 2 turret will definitely fall, as we can see Pivotless trying to bring the wave a little further forward. We do have Apollonia and Split Push trying to find an answer in a cross-map play, but I think right now she realizes that her base is under a lot of pressure, and SK need numbers here in order to actually play the fight, as they're now playing guard the cannon minion underneath this turret here. Pillar coming through, buying some space, and they're stepping further forward. They will definitely take away this next turret as Pivotless goes back into the backline. Kiana just pops like a bubble, and now Tress is the next target. She's stepping further forward, but Clef will pick up the kill, and that's a numbers advantage for Solary Academy, who have also used a little bit of a healing potion here to come back to life, playing further with the Baron buff, stepping further towards the end, towards the base. The first inhib is definitely going to fall. Maybe SK can buy some time with Solary actually turning their sights towards a possible dragon in 30 seconds.
Yeah, and this game has been completely turned over again by Solary, now actually sitting on an 8,000 gold lead after like these little situations that happened on the Atakan, and indeed it was a throw Atakan, because now Solary definitely cemented themselves as like the leader in this game. 3 items now also onto Clef with the oh god, how is it called in English? With the bow getting ready. not the German item names, but definitely
the
now
LDR? No, Clef. Wait. Oh, you mean Terminus?
Yes, Terminus.
Oh, okay. I was like,
we got the Terminus ready. And
which
now
bow are we talking about?
Which bows? So many bows. All these ADCs all using their bows. Why is no one using spears? So now they're also getting their second dragon into this game. Also another cloud dragon for them. The Baron will be running out soon, so they have like maybe 1 wave more to push it out. But now it's over, and they got a lot of gold. They were able to get inhibitor on the bot side, which should definitely be like a hassle for like the next Baron coming up in 3 minutes then. I mean, on the other hand, it's also like kind of a lot of free farm for Miela. She is able with like the Sivir to get these minions cleared down really quickly. And I think if SK has like some hopes left, it's definitely getting more items, getting a good fight on the back of these ADC, making sure that she can like play this game and play the team fight with the bodyguards all around her. On the other hand, Solary is looking for one of the last tier 2 towers in this game, pushing on top side with 3 people, even 4 coming in. So SK has to be really, really careful.
Yeah, they're looking to maybe try and keep this turret alive, maybe even look for a fight on their own terms.
But they have seen Pivotless over the world, so they are aware that Solary is there with 5 members.
Well, it is going to be a 5v5 if someone wants to start it, but Pivotless now moving towards mid lane again. She wants to keep up the pressure there. So everyone is kind of tiptoeing around the map a little bit. You know that at this point in the game, if you make a mistake, if you lose a fight here, it could very well be the end. If Solary Academy actually managed to, get something out of SK. Pivotless, again, pushing in mid lane. They're really trying to sink these waves at least a little bit, but now they're moving their attention further towards mid lane and kind of giving up on top lane, at least for the time being. There's no waves coming in. There is a Baron in about 2 minutes. But it's really just up to SK to stall time here. Clear out the waves, actually get some more CS in the bags. We can see Miela CS-wise is very far ahead. However, the kills on the side of Clev are a bit of a difference maker as well. So let's see if they can actually get some items on the board. Because so far, the Protect the President comp has not been as protective as we would like it to be.
Yeah, the president has fallen a few times, unfortunately, in this game already. Meanwhile, also Solary has to accept the fact that they currently can't force anymore. They tried to get on top lane maybe a kill in the downtime, that there was like no objective, and they were like allowed to play a bit more aggressively. But now that the Baron will be up in a minute again, they have to be like more considerate, buy more pink wards, clear the vision, and work with what they have currently on hand, which is like still 3 item power spikes on like every champion or like every carry in this game for both sides. So maybe if there's like one fight happening or like one fight that SK can still take, it's maybe even this one, because even though we have like this big gold lead that is around the 7k still, they now are still like on the same items and on the same power levels. They just have to make sure that Miela doesn't fall and that they are able to pressure Lilith and Clef.
But
Solary is
range.
taking her second time. Yeah, that's the range. And
It's
this
going
is
to be
something
an
that
issue.
neither the Sivir nor the Morgana can match. Like nobody is able
Exactly.
to contest the Lilith.
And you cannot shield everyone from the spiraling despair, right? Like with both of the burn items complete for Lilith, Apollonia can really shield someone, like one single person. Miela can shield herself for a little bit, but you have no chance at actually saving the entire team if we see a combination like we did a few times now with the Magnet Storm and the spiraling despair coming through as well as the pillar. It's very, very hard decision making on when to use your barrier, when to use your shield.
Also,
and
the
who
tanks
to
are
protect
burning.
first.
The
Yeah.
tanks are just getting burned down by like these item builds.
Lizzie and Tress are having no fun anymore.
Yeah,
Playing
they're out of
against Lilith.
paper. They're like hoping for like the Solary shield from Guyana coming through. And we also see that like SK, they try to keep like the mid lane busy, but they also know that the Baron have been started, but they have no vision. Like they can only go off feeling when to
they
go
have
in.
super minions walking straight into their base, so it is really a little bit of a fight on knife's edge here. As we can see, they're being split up a little bit. Nature's Grass kind of denies a few ultimates coming through here, but Tress drops extremely low anyways. Now we have Kiana trying to find a way in, as Tress is also very, very low. But no one actually is going to go down. Baron is resetting. The super minions are still pouring into the base here on the side
Solary
of
can
SK.
take time. Solary doesn't have to force anything. They can just wait, because SK, as you already said, they have to backboard.
Yeah, but our C's dropping
the
really
damage.
low. If she's like denying a backport here from Lysia, maybe they can actually play this. Maybe they can actually force SK into another fight. But with Lysia making it back to the base, they will at least not lose another turret there. And everyone is deciding to take a breather, go back for a reset, and then move towards Dragon, because it is going to be the soul for SK if they're managing to pick it up. Otherwise, Solary definitely want to contest this and put themselves at soul point as well.
Also, focus just shifted. We saw like the TP coming down from Solary onto the dragon, because it would be still the Cloud Dragon soul for SK if they would get the dragon. And that's apparently something that Solary doesn't want to give away without a fight again. Pivotless has like the option to push with the bot lane again. So all that Solary kind of has to do is just keep SK from the idea away that they can either collapse on mid lane or get like the dragon. And SK is trying their luck with like They're engaged.
Nature's Grasp, nice hook coming through. Aussie drops down immediately as the Spiraling Despair comes through. The Black Shield hits, but here comes the Public Execution. Miela getting caught out here. Steps too far forward, ends up going down against Pivotless. Kiana and Lizzie are the next ones to fall with Trez and Apollonia. Trying to run for the hills, trying to make it back to their own base in order to maybe find a way to defend this, but it's going to be really hard. Maybe they can actually manage to at least get the recall through, but now the next turret is the target here for Solary. They're looking to pick up another inhib, and it's 2 against the world here for SK Avarosa, who are looking to stay alive in this game. Just a few more seconds until someone else respawns, but Solary Academy, they are looking to end it right here, right now. Stepping further forward, they do have a wave, they do have a decent amount of push, they have 2 Void Grubs, but it's not going to be that big of a difference maker. Trez is looking for something. Clef ends up going down. Another interruption here for the side of Apollonia as they are trying to do something. They have to buy some time, but the Nexus is falling, and it's going to be the win for Solary Academy after all.
Yeah, what a game of these two teams, Solary and SK, definitely delivered on that one, because it was like tense and like close until the end, even though Solary, after finding like that little neck-breaking fight at like the second dragon, getting like these kills for Lilith, kind of established himself in a more comfortable position. And yeah, now that also brings Solary to the point where they are 3-0 against head-to-head against SK this year. Is Solary SK's kryptonite?
I do believe that SK might be SK's kryptonite, but
that
it could
too,
also
that
be...
too.
Wait, the question we have to ask ourselves is, did Carney co-stream this? Because then it's definitely Carney's fault, because there is this whole Carney curse thing going on that whenever he co-streams one of SK's team in whatever esports they're trying to compete in, it always goes to, you know? So let's put it on him, but I'm definitely very, very happy to see that Solary have stepped it up compared to last week. They were struggling a little bit. They've looked a lot more convincing to date, but I love to see that SK, of course, are ready to take it head-to-head with them and actually be brave about it. Right now, we are going to throw it to a little bit of the break, and then we'll see what our analysts have to say about this, as well as maybe a little interview coming up. We'll keep you posted. Definitely stay tuned.
And we're back from break with an interview with one of the winners. Congratulations, first of all, Clef, for winning this game. You showed us an incredible Vayne today, and I would like to explore a little bit more on that. How do you feel about the Vayne pick and your style today and how you played?
First of all, hello, and thank you for having me. I mean, overall, we've already been through this because we just finished the game, and like I started the ending off with it. Well, guys, I didn't deserve to win today. I should have lost. I played like completely horrible. Just for all of us to come to the conclusion that we just played bad overall, and that we got a bit lucky early on in the game where like Lilith got a really huge ult. So I think she played pretty well today, in my opinion. So I'm thankful for that, and yeah, we're happy about the win, of course. Just not that happy about our performance. And the Vayne pick just really came to play because of the draft overall. Like we just saw Cyan, Morgana, and Sivir, and we were just like, I guess we like it hasn't happened in like 10 months, but I guess we just play Vayne today. I haven't touched a champion at all, so.
Oh, okay.
It's been really long, and it was either that or Zeri, and I was like, guys, if you trust me, we're just going Vayne today, and then we're just gonna win because of draft, probably. Yeah, that was pretty much it today.
But it's amazing that they trusted you in this one, and I think a lot of people actually enjoyed seeing you play some more of that Vayne. Now, when you say you guys weren't really happy with your performance today, now also thinking about last week and the match against Eterno, how do you feel like going into the next game when you are currently not that happy with your performance?
I think I just kind of have to step it up for myself, or like kind of how to say this, pad my mental and just play, I don't know, 2 other solo 2 games. So I'm like, okay, my fingers are finally working, or my brain is, or even get better sleep, because for some reason I got really bad sleep again today, and I was just like, well, I can't even blame it on that. I think it was just I just played bad. That's basically it. But I think if you just look at what we've completely messed up today, because we just did so many random things, I think we can do a lot better next time, for sure. Like, we just really have to focus a lot more, listen to each other more, basically. I think we can go back to our former selves. I think we're just kind of off compared to last tournament. And yeah, I think it's also kind of weird because we only have 1 game a week. So it's kind of like, that really important match is just 1 game, and it just matters so much, right? Like, that's probably why it's kind of iffy for us too.
That's understandable, I think. And what you just mentioned and is very, very interesting to see, because next game is going to be against Vitality Rising Bees for you guys. So an opponent which I feel like a lot of people also expect maybe more of. Do you already have an opinion on them?
I think they're, for me, pretty, how do I say this, neutral opponents. Like, I think the game can go both ways.
Okay.
Kind of. I think if we can, like, have a really good day, I think it's gonna be heavily us favored. Like, especially depending how draft goes and everything. Like, I, for myself, I'm not that scared, because the recent results versus Vitality have been, well, mostly positive for us. Because we also won with a sub last time when our top laner was in hospital. And I think that gave us a lot of confidence in terms of that, like in terms of that matchup. So I, for myself, am not scared at all. And I think if we just kind of step it up and don't go completely mental, I think we're gonna do a decent job next week. I hope. I just wanna give everyone a good performance rather than, get a free win or something. I don't like that at all. Like, for sure.
I get the spirit though. Now we opened up actually our stream today and also our analyst desk a little bit with the question if you guys are a little bit underrated. And we discussed about it, we came to different conclusions. What's your opinion on that? Do you feel like you guys are being underrated?
I think before EEC we definitely did. There was like tier list saying we would win like 2 games overall, and we kind of made finals. There's also people that just said we were lucky, so that was also kind of interesting.
Okay.
And I, for myself, was kind of confident that we would either go semifinals or finals last EEC, and I think it's possible again this time. So we just need to get back to our old spirits and yeah, I think we are definitely underrated in terms of that.
Okay, so we are excited to see the next games. So show us that you're being underrated. We are excited for that one. So I'll just say thank you so much for this interview. Get some rest, get some sleep, as you mentioned. I hope you're able to before the next games come up. But thank you so much for joining us in this interview, and thank you so much for being here. Congrats again.
Thank you for having me, and thank you so much.
Of course, thank you so much, Clef. We are going back to our analyst desk now, and we are going to talk about the next game that, let's be honest, unfortunately won't happen today. As some of you maybe already read in chat, due to unforeseen circumstances, this matchup between G2 Hell and Galleon's Pearl is going to be rescheduled. We don't know to when exactly yet, but keep an eye on socials, and sorry about all of the inconveniences regarding this one. We hope we can give you an update as soon as possible on our socials as well, but as you know, try to keep an eye on their channels, obviously. But let's talk about the game we just watched a little bit more, because I want to hear from our very talented analysts what their opinion was. Now, Clef herself mentioned that she was very unhappy with the performance, and maybe Nettie, you can tell us why was that? Why do you feel like they could maybe, or why does she feel like they could have done better?
Yeah, I mean, I think overall, you know, it was a win's a win, but it was, again, we're seeing a little bit of that remnants of that first game that Solary had versus Eterna, where it's still a bit of messy, right? Fortunately, the messiness went in their favor today, and I think their comp was really good at playing that more messy style. But ultimately, it wasn't a clean win, right? There was some mistakes in fights, some overextensions, you know, not fully playing together, which I think Clef is probably not the happiest about. But in a format where you only have 3 games, I can't stress enough how important it is that to take the W, right? If we get the W, the main thing is that we increase our chances and we put a lot of pressure now on Vitality to be able to make it out of that group, right? So overall, yeah, I mean, you can be a bit annoyed about the performance, but ultimately picking up the W is all that's going to matter at the end of the day.
I mean, very understandable. And I think obviously they are happy that they won, which she also mentioned. Now, Solary was able to win this one, lost against Eterna. We could just saw the groups again. Hyperbubbles, how do you feel about the current situation we are in with all of the teams? Do you feel like, oh, there's already something we can see, there's already some teams leveling up?
I think, yeah, still Eterna is one of the big sort of like question marks. Like, they really surprised in that first game, and now we would love to see, I believe tomorrow, how that is going to continue. And yeah, as Natty already mentioned, Vitality, Rising Beast, they really have to step up now. They need that victory, because starting with a loss already is such a bad situation. And if you're gonna then drop to 1 more loss and 0-2, I don't even know if you still have chances to get out of groups properly then. If for example, either Solary or SK Avarosa picks up that second win then along with Eterna. So yeah, it's already a very dire strait for some of these teams, because yeah, as Natty mentioned multiple times now, there's only 3 games. It's a one-way round robin. You need these victories. So now we're also looking for SK Avarosa to come back and say, okay, yes, we lost this 1 game, but we know how to win. We won yesterday, or we won the last week. So surely we can come back and get back to those winning ways. So that's really where I'm going to have my eye on. Group 2 already looks very contentious, or Group B in this case looks very contentious. So I'm really, really hoping that we can see, Vitality, Rising Beast level up and somehow be able to not be eliminated already.
Interesting to see. So Obviously, there are still a lot of matches going on, but now I have like a little bit of an idea, at least of what your analysis looks like. Now, Natty, tomorrow there obviously going to be another match, and the first one is going to be Seren's Bloom versus former Nexus Reaper, so the Blue Otters. Do you already have like an idea of how this is going to go, or like have a prediction for that one?
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, looking at the game strictly from that first day, and also taking a little bit of account for EEC, I think that Blue Otters look quite a bit stronger than Terrans, right? Just based off how they finished, the teams that they've been able to beat, and so on. So I'm gonna just say straight out right now that I predict Blue Otters to win that one. I think Terrans are kind of, based off the fact that they had to play the open qualifier and came second in that, are the underdogs of this tournament, and most likely the team that will be just trying to fight for that playoff spot rather than trying to fight for that first place. So yeah, I would expect Blue Otters to win that one.
Do you agree, Val? Because you're nodding.
Yeah, unfortunately, I do agree as well. Exactly as Natty mentioned, the fact that they came through as sort of the last team to be able to qualify definitely puts them sort of at the bottom spot. Of course, it means that they have more to gain than any other team out there. So of course, if they were to win and have this big upset, I think that would already change so many opinions and just in general give so much hope for this team. So I think if they want to make a statement and really fight for their stay in this tournament, now in this game, it would be the time to do so.
Interesting to see. So we can be excited about this game, but another game that's also going on tomorrow is Eterna versus Vitality Rising Beast. And I'll be honest, I'm really excited for that one because first of all, I want to see I want to see how Eterna is going to do again, because first game, in my opinion, was impressive. And I want to see if they can keep up with what they showed us so far. And also, Vitality, they really want this win. So let's see what they can do. Natty, do you feel like Eterna might be too much of a challenge for Vitality?
I think it's a matchup that can go either way. I think, obviously Vitality haven't picked up a win yet, but I think also Eterna's game, to an extent, Solary just didn't really play well, didn't really show up in that game from my perspective. So Eterna obviously picked up the win, they capitalized really well, but it can be easy to get wins some days, and it can be hard to get wins other days. That's my opinion on it. So Vitality versus Eterna, I see them as similar in their power level. So I think that's one to really look out for as a very close match, and it can go either way.
Bubbles, do you feel the same way? Do you feel like this is going to be an exciting game, or do you feel like, oh, Eterna, they just won one game? Let's lay it low.
I think looking at the last two games that we saw, or the last game from each team, I will be leaning slightly towards Eterna, but I mean, we've harped on this quite a bit already, but Vitality, of course, they know how important it is to win this next game. So I think for both teams, they realize that Eterna needs to win if they want to solidify themselves at the top of their own group, and Vitality needs to win if they want to stay in the competition for actually making it through the playoffs. So I think the mental aspect is also something that is going to be bearing on both teams, and we just really have to hope that, especially for the side of Vitality, that they are able to use that as motivation and not crumble under the pressure instead.
Very well said. Now you have all the reasons to tune in again tomorrow, because we will watch both of these games. And it will be an interesting one, and it will be an important day, obviously, for all of the teams that are playing. So we are going to wrap up for today. Again, sorry for everybody that wanted to see the G2 Hell vs Galleon's Pearl game. We will let you know as soon as we can when the game will be. Again, keep an eye on socials. Sorry about that. And we will hope to see you again next time. Thank you so much to Riot, Wikipedia, Pop TV, and of course, this desk, our beautiful casters, production, and everybody around it. Thank you for you guys in chat for tuning in again. And we are just going to say bye-bye until tomorrow.
Bye.